Welcome to the Aligned Sacred Alchemy podcast. I'm Raspreet Sagu, and I teach you how to manifest in a way that actually works for you and leads you to your soul's path and purpose by creating your own customized manifesting framework without the believe it and achieve it or think positive and vibe high mindset stuff that doesn't really take into account your lived experiences. If you're a conscious creator and ready to live your wildest dreams, instead of just fantasizing about them or trying to manifest them, then listen on as I bring spiritual principles to life through grounded experiences and real life situations, so you can be in a state of receiving and courageously manifest in and on purpose. Hello and welcome to today's podcast, where I'm going to share with you how you can manipulate past memories and the emotions that are connected to those memories to help you catalyze actualizing your desires. This was a live that I did over on my Instagram page, and I thought it was so valuable that I decided to make it a podcast episode. So buckle up, because in this episode, we're going to be doing a bit of quantum jumping, and I'm going to be taking you through one easy practice that if you start implementing today and commit to making it a regular practice, will catalyze your desires. In fact, if you start it today and you do this for the next 3 weeks, by spring, March, you may actually be living that desire that you're fantasizing about in your head. Just a word of warning, I get very philosophical in this, so just bear with it and stick to the end, because I know that if you do, it may just be the thing that completely shifts your perspective on manifesting and how to manifest. So without further ado, here it is. Hi everyone, it's Ras here, and I just want to speak to you. It's been a very long time since I've done a live. I want to speak to you about how to manipulate your past memories to help you to actually catalyze your desires. So I'm going to share something with you that mainstream manifesting teachings, the coaching, the mindset stuff, the self-development industry is gatekeeping from you. And I'm not about gatekeeping here, because I want to share this with you. I am going to share with you one really easy practice that if you start today and you commit to doing on a daily basis, you commit to doing it regularly, it will catalyze your desires. Okay. I don't know about you, but I got really sick of doing all the stuff that they teach you, with The Secret, using the law of attraction, things, teachings that they teach you, using Abraham Hicks, all of the mindset work that the coaching industry throws at you. How many, if you can relate to this, then just type in one or raise your hand, right? Do their raise hand emoji or something, because I'm not saying that all of these things were useless or they're invaluable. Absolutely not. They are very valuable. And at the beginning of my journey, I was seeing shifts with using this. There is a lot of power in them. But then it gets to this point where you're hitting a brick wall. And even though you're doing all the things, there are certain things that just won't manifest when you're only using these tools or these teachings, right? Yeah. So a few of you can relate to this. So that's what I want to teach you, because there is something that all of these things that get taught, that get thrown about, that get regurgitated out there, they're not conveying. And one of those things is just how much power you truly have. And I know this is going to sound really cliched. I'm kind of cringing as I'm saying this, because when people used to say this to me about, you have all the power to change things, and then things wouldn't change, I wanted to smack that person, right? But no, honestly, at the risk of sounding cliched, there is just so much power that you have. And these teachings are not A, conveying that, and B, teaching you how to harness that power. And so what starts happening is you have this unhealthy codependent relationship where you think that you need something outside of you, either a new teaching, a new way of looking at things, a new something or other, rather than just doing it with what you already have. And not that I'm saying it's not valuable to get support from other people or to learn from other people, but I am saying that there is a lot of things that you can actually be doing, and it's not really that difficult. It's not really that hard. I am going to share what that is with you. So let me know if you relate to this. Let me know that if you've been using these tools and how they're working out for you. Have you used them and they have been working for you and they're very effective and you're really happy with it? Or have you used them and then you've had some degree of success, but you haven't really been able to sustain that level of success? Or have you been using them and you're really frustrated because they just don't seem to work for you? Let me know what that is for you. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check my notes because I want to keep on track, because what I have to say today is going to be a game changer for you if you apply it. All right. You actually have a lot more power within you to change things than what you think or what you have been led to believe. And there's no reason why things for you cannot change within a snap. If you really knew what you're supposed to be doing to harness that power that's already within you, it's encoded within your DNA, right? And that's what I want to share with you today, like a practical, grounded way of how you can start to harness that power on a daily basis, right? And this is an exercise that I will share with you during our time together, where you are going to be able to start harnessing that power and getting embodied in your own process of creation, okay? So, I got to this point when I'm using all of these tools and these teachings and everything where it just wasn't working for me. And I have been facilitating clients for years now, over 10 years, where I've been facilitating clients, and then it's been more than 2 decades of me actually doing this work myself. And there was one thing after all this work that I've been doing and observing, and I started to look at what is the difference between the people that I facilitate and myself when we are actually manifesting and actualizing what we desire versus when we're not. What is it that makes the manifestation actualize? And what is it that makes some of the manifestations actualize with so much ease and so quickly, whereas others we struggle with? And others, we just cannot seem to get out of this funk. We cannot seem to actualize those things, even though it's entirely possible. And we believe it's entirely possible, right? Have you ever had those kind of experiences where you know it's possible and you're doing all the things, you haven't quite given up hope, maybe you're on the verge of giving up, but you haven't quite got to the point where you've given up because you know deep down it's possible. And so you keep trying and you keep trying, but it's just not happening, right? If you can relate to that, raise your hand. One of the things that I started to see and what I discovered was there was this one vital thing that was happening when people were actualizing their manifestations that the people who weren't manifesting weren't doing. And that is restructuring your past experiences, restructuring the emotions of your past experiences to catalyze the change that you're asking for. I'm going to explain this, so if that makes no sense to you, just bear with me, all right? What if, and this is how I started to reflect on this myself and asking questions like, what if life was actually just a long-running memory playing out in our minds? Right? I know this sounds really out there and bizarre, but stick with me. Hear me out, because this may just amp up your manifesting and entirely change your perspective on how you're going to be approaching manifesting that desire, right? Memory. So like if I go back to what if life was just a long running memory playing out in our minds? So you know how you remember things and you recall things in the past and you're kind of, it's in your mind's eye, almost fantasizing about what happened in the past? What if life itself, as we know it, was just one of these long-term memories? Maybe you're, I don't know, in another dimension or something, and you're recalling what happened in this lifetime. I know this sounds really out there and cray-cray, but bear with me, all right? Because if that was true, right, what we know about memories through science, through psychology and all of that, is that they're malleable. And that's one of the reasons why they cannot rely on memory in a court of law, right? Because things change. You'll see if you're anything like me and you watch all of those court cases and murder mysteries and murder documentaries and stuff on TV, then you'll know that especially in long cases, like cases that go on for years and years, the initial statement that someone makes changes over time. And that's because their memory starts to fade. You start to have these blanks in your memories. And we're doing this all of the time. And what happens is your brain comes in, and depending on your emotional state in that present moment, your brain will start to fill in the blanks. So the memory becomes malleable, right? And a brilliant example of this is, have you ever had that experience where you are recalling a memory, or you're in a family gathering or something, you're recalling something that happened in the past, and maybe your siblings are like, no, that's not what happened. This is how I remember it. Or another family member's like, that's not what happened. This is actually what happened. And like an argument ensues over what actually happened. This is another reason why a lot of siblings may lock heads with each other. Lock horns is the thing I'm looking for. But it's because they're remembering things differently. And the reason you do that is because the more you recall a memory, the more it changes. And your emotional state, your current emotional state, is going to dictate what gets put in, what gets filled into the blanks. All right. So if this was true, right, just imagine this was true. Memories fade. Yeah. So if we know that the more you recall a memory, the more it starts to morph into something else. And if you know this and you take this and you apply this into your manifesting and just run with the theory and the concept that life is just one long-running recollection of everything that happened, then imagine the power that you actually have to intentionally create the change that gets to happen, right? Bear with me. Here's where I'm coming into that exercise, right? So if you're, for example, maybe you're having problems with money. Maybe you're finding it difficult to find your soulmate. Maybe you just keep attracting the wrong type of person. Maybe you have issues with your physical health. Maybe there is something that you want to be manifesting, it's just not happening. Whatever that is, insert whatever that is for you. What if just for fun, okay, just for today, and here's where we get into the exercise, pretend that it's a memory from the past experience. So maybe you've been struggling, you've had challenges, you are feeling frustrated with not being able to manifest that thing. And pretend that when you're thinking about what's happened or thinking about what's occurring in your life right now, that you are just recalling a memory from the past. What you then do is you start to revisit that memory and you fill in the blanks. You're doing this with intention. You fill in the blanks of how you would like to feel instead, and what you would like to happen instead of what's actually happening in this memory that you're recalling, right? So, and I'll give you an example to illustrate this, so bear with me. But this is a memory that you're changing, and here's why it works. Because it's a memory that you're changing. It's not something that's actually happened. It's not something that you are manifesting. Because in my experience, when we say we want to manifest something, there is an attachment to having that thing. There is an emotional charge for actually not having that thing in your life. And so you already are bumping up against resistance when you think about it in terms of manifestation. For a lot of people, right, there's this pressure that this needs to work. But if it's just a memory, like you're tricking your brain, your psychology, your psyche to think that it's something that's already happened in the past. And suddenly the pressure to have that thing, it's no longer there. You're not dealing with the resistance. You're not dealing with the pressure. And so you start to be able to recall that memory. You start to insert the blanks intentionally, and you actually change the physiology of what's happening in your body in this current moment. Now, your conscious mind you can direct it, okay? Your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's happened in the past and what's happening in the future or what's happening right now. Your body is a tool through which your manifestations comes through, right? It's actually for your body that you're manifesting. Your soul doesn't need the manifestation, right? Your soul doesn't need a partner. Your soul doesn't need money. Your soul doesn't need that private jet, okay? It's you, the body, the physical body that needs all of these things. And so now you're bringing all of these things together into the mix. You're putting them all back into the equation, and you're harnessing the power that you have energetically, physically, emotionally, and through your mind, through your conscious mind. And you're starting to do this. If you do this on a daily basis and you practice this every single day, it will become so much a part of you that it goes from being something that you're cognitively aware of, that you're intentionally doing because you're building the habit of doing this thing, into something that becomes an unconscious thing. If you repeat it through again and again and again, because a lot of humans, most of us, we learn through repetition. If you think about all your blocks and your mindset, like the negative mindset that you have, or the beliefs that you hold, it's through repetition. It's thoughts that are repeated over and over again that become your beliefs. And that becomes like the framework through which your life starts to be created. It's the foundation upon which you create your life. And that's actually, you're manifesting all the time, right? Whether you know it or you don't. So what we're doing now is we're now bringing our conscious awareness to what we're doing. And we're doing it through treating your desire as if it was a memory, and then we're inserting the blanks. And so here's how it would go, something like this. For example, say you're struggling with your body image. Say you're struggling with getting fit or losing weight or having that body that you desire, getting fit, getting toned, whatever that may be for you. And it may be a soulmate, it may be money in your bank, it may be more clients, it may be whatever it is for you. You work with whatever it is for you. If you're struggling with that, what you would do is you would pretend to look back at what's happening and what's panned out so far as a memory that you're recalling. And so you acknowledge. Now, this isn't about bypassing. We do not do bypassing here, right? You are acknowledging whatever it is that you're feeling. So you're playing it back in your mind's eye of what's happening. I haven't been able to lose that weight. I tried to do this thing. I tried to go on this diet. I tried to go to the gym. I tried to walk 10,000 steps a day and it's still not happening. Whatever that thing is, or I tried this mindset hack, whatever you've done. And you start to look back and you feel into, what does that feel like for you? And it may bring up feelings of frustration, of anger, of resentment, whatever is coming up for you. You feel that, you acknowledge what you're feeling. And then you start to flip that script and say, well, how would I like this to go instead? If I wasn't feeling frustrated, and if I could jump to the future of where I had already manifested this beautiful body or this toned body, or I'm fit and I'm healthy, how am I feeling then? And then you start to ask yourself, now this isn't something I will tell you, you should be feeling this way. This is something that is very, very intimate. It's internal. It's very personal and individual to you. All right. So you start to ask yourself that question. I feel strong. Maybe it's that you feel strong. Maybe it's that you now feel confident. Maybe your posture suddenly straightens up and you feel like you can take up space. You really get into that feeling, and then you start to remember as you're thinking back, because this is a memory, remember the point at which everything changed for you. You recall that point where you went from feeling the frustration and feeling resentful or unhappy or whatever it was, to starting to feel strong. You remember that moment and start to explore, what did I do? What did I do to get from that feeling of resentment into the feeling of success or feeling of fulfillment or whatever that is for you, or accomplishment, whatever, right? And as you do this, like, it may be difficult at the beginning. When I take my clients through this for the first few times, it's like very clunky. And then when they form this practice and bring it and make it as part of their manifesting framework, which, if you don't know, and if you haven't been in my world for a long time, I teach people how to create their own manifesting framework based on their own energetic signature, based on their cultural imprinting. So it's completely customized to you. So for those of you who don't know what a manifesting framework is, it's essentially what you're doing on a daily basis to call in your future, to intentionally create your desired future, right? There are things that you need to be doing on a daily basis. And these things include energetic stuff, it includes emotional stuff, and it includes the actual physical, tangible, human steps that you get to take in order for all of the energy stuff, all of the mindset stuff to anchor in and be effective. And that essentially is what your manifesting framework is. For me, I know that manifesting framework looks completely different for everybody. It's very individual. It's no manifesting frameworks that I've ever helped facilitate ever look the same as anyone else's, because it really is based on you and customized to you, your lived experiences, which only you have. So how could it possibly be like a blanket thing, one size fits all type of thing, which mainstream will try and tell you that you can have this one process or these 5 steps, or as long as you're doing the law of attraction stuff over here, it's going to work for everyone. If that was really true, wouldn't more of us be living our best lives, right? It's not, because it doesn't take into account your own experiences. It doesn't take into account some of the cultural imprinting that you may come with. It doesn't take into account your internalized trauma and oppression based off of your lived experiences. So once you start to create that for yourself, once you start to design and intentionally design your own manifesting framework, you can actually put that into your manifesting framework. So this exercise that I've shared with you today is something I highly recommend that you try and do. Not try, you do, and you put it into your manifesting framework, at least for this season of your life. And I promise you, if you commit to doing this on a daily basis, within 3 weeks, you're going to have seen some shifts. You're more than likely gonna have manifested some of those things that you were struggling with. I know this. I know this because I've seen it happen over and over again. And like I said, with my clients, when I take them through this, it's very clunky. It's difficult for the first few days to really get into it. But once you do, and once you really start to make that emotional connection with the memory, and you start to put yourself in that state every single day, it shifts everything. It shifts you internally, physiologically. It will shift your energy. So the energy that you're radiating out, which is what the universe or God or whatever that bigger, higher power it is that you believe in, That's what it picks up on. It doesn't pick up on your actual mindset. It doesn't pick up on what you're saying. It's the energy that you emit. And here's the inevitable thing that happens is, you know, that thing, the mindset that everyone starts to work on at the beginning of their journey, that everyone's so gung-ho about. I need to change my mindset. I have to be more positive. I need to feel better. All of those things inevitably happen. You don't even have to try. You don't even have to try to change your mindset, because it is a side effect, a natural side effect of this work that you're doing, right? Lots of people have it backwards. Lots of people start off with the mindset and then they try and work backwards and reverse engineer it, and then they come up with all this resistance. Because if it's a mindset thing, you're bringing your mind into it, and your mind is always going to try and keep you safe. Your mind is there to keep you safe. Your mind will recall what's happened in the past, and based on what's happened in the past, will try and protect you, right? What you're doing here is you're working with your emotional state, which governs your physiological state, so you're bringing your body into it, and your body is far more powerful in helping you manifest than your mind is. And that's the thing that people have twisted. That's the thing that people have topsy-turvy, upside down, because they're using their mind and leaving the body out of it, and therefore they're not embodied in the changes that they're creating on the level of their mind. Okay, so I hope that helps. And if you connect with this, if you want some more help with this, then I invite you to join my Translate community, because this is the exact thing that we work on there. I actually help you to design your own manifesting framework based on all of these things that I'm talking about. And we go through your specific energetics. So if you want my coaching every single month, if you would like more resources on how this works for you in your life with your cultural imprinting, and how to do the things that are really being gatekept by the mainstream manifesting, then come join us, because you'll love it. I will pop the link in the show notes, and if you have any questions, then feel free to DM me, find me on Instagram, and I would love to hear your experiences. Share with me whatever comes up for you, what awarenesses come up for you, and if anything shifts, I would love to hear from you. And if you're the kind of person who prefers personalized support with reviewing, troubleshooting, and customizing your current manifesting framework so that it works for you, I would love to facilitate you on a velocity session. This is currently the only way you can work with me on a private one-to-one basis. It's a 60-minute private session where we go for a deep dive into the steps to create a manifesting framework that's customized to you to call in your most highly prioritized desire within 4 months or less. So if that sounds like it's more up your street, I would love to see you there. I will pop the link in the show notes as always. And that's all for now. Happy creating! If you'd like a regular dose of magic and tips on how to create alignment in your energy through embodied wisdom and using spiritual laws and mindset work to make the intangible energetic shifts and translate them into tangible shifts in a way that supports how you're uniquely wired to manifest, get onto my email community. You can sign up to receive my free Creative Blueprint Shadows guide on how to identify shadows that can negatively impact your desires from showing up, and how to alchemize them into gifts so you can leverage them and use them to manifest more effectively. It's been known to activate deep healing and understanding, and many people have uncovered and released deep blocks that have helped them to actualize some of their most heartfelt desires that they'd nearly given up on. The link's in the show notes if this is calling to you. Until next time, happy creating.